It's time for New Wellness TV with Dr. Lee. Join your host, the accomplished Dr. Cherilyn Lee, as she welcomes the leading experts in health and well-being as they explore the advancements in natural health, physical fitness, nutrition, integrative medicine, and self-discovery.
Good morning, everyone, or whatever time of day you're watching this fabulous program. I thank you for joining in today for New Wellness TV with Dr. Lee, and I have always amazing guests. And I'm so excited, as I always say, because I am excited, what we're going to be presenting to you today. And I want to say one of my guests I've been knowing for years. His mom has been my friend for years and years and years, and I am just so excited to see how the universe, how God molded him into becoming this master in what he does and this production piece that he produced, which is really, truly amazing. Had a chance to view it at a private viewing, which was absolutely phenomenal. But, it's about life. And my show is always about health and ways that we can heal and overcome. And it was just a must-see once it's been released, but I want to introduce my guest, Vincent Brantley. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you. So we're going to kind of jump in. Your bio, your name is there, so people I know are Googling who you are, and we will be showing a lot of different information as to some things you have done in the past as well. But I'm just so thrilled of what I was able to see your work here, because it touched my heart on so many levels, because I've worked in the industry. I've worked with family members in the industry of chemical dependency. So that's what it's kind of all about. So why don't you tell everybody the title of, first of all, tell people who you are. Just tell me a little about you.
Well, my name is Vincent Brantley. I'm from here, Southern California and South Central Los Angeles. My humble beginnings began in urban South Central. My father owned a local record store, and that's where I first took a real passion and love for music. And being in a suppressed environment, the music helped me to escape, and I excelled. Continued to learn instruments, play, and excel. And I think it was in late 80s when I first broke out with my first #1 record with New Edition, and continued to work in the industry for 25 years plus, and evolved into the film industry about 6-7 years ago. And the project I'm on right now is a documentary called Road Back, which centers around addiction. It's a story of two friends helping each other and supporting each other, and actually one trying to save the other's life.
Okay. We're going to show a trailer on that, aren't we?
Yeah.
So you'll be able to kind of see, and when it's released, you have to go out and see it. But we have another guest here as well. And I want to thank you so much. Why don't you introduce our guest, because he is the one who worked with you. And
Colton Morgan is here. He flew in from Salt Lake City. Yeah. And he has an amazing story. He's a very educated and talented business guy, and has a serious story with the opioid addiction. Mm-hmm. He's a walking miracle because this time last year he was on the street and struggling, and I'll let him tell his story.
Yes. Yeah, I heard a little of it when we met, but I wanted you to introduce him because you have a wonderful personal connection with him. And I met him, just a wonderful, loving young man. I mean, just loving. You would have never known that was part of your past. Sure. And that's what it is, your past.
Yeah.
But you've come a long way and just been truly blessed.
Well, thank you, Dr. Lee, and thank you for those kind words, Vince.
Well, they're true.
My name is Colton Morgan. I came out from Salt Lake City, Utah to work
Thank
on
you
the
for
film.
flying in all the way to Los Angeles.
Man, I got off the plane. It was absolutely beautiful here. It's already starting to snow in Salt Lake, so I was happy to be here.
Yeah.
I was definitely happy to be here.
Thank you for being in studio live, because I love my guests to be live in studio. So
Yes,
thank you.
and your energy and presence when we met the first time was, I mean, I was attracted to your character, and I could tell how sincere you were, and that's what I think one of the big things in the film is it brings out that authenticity and that sincerity in people, because we all share a common struggle, whether it's addiction or whether it's anything else, and that's what makes it relatable to people.
Yeah, because addiction is addiction, and they all in the end will have adverse reactions with our health.
Yes.
Some are worse than others, but eventually it will.
Definitely.
So I'm really thankful that you're here to share your story with us. So thank you so much for being here today.
Yes.
Thank you. So I'm going to go back to Vincent. And, tell me about, what was the name of the song? We're going to get to the movie, the new edition. What was?
Cool It Now.
Really? That was you?
Ooh, watch out.
Oh, I didn't know that was you. I tried to dance off of that.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, that was a really big hit. Still is. We still hear it.
Yes. Well, we just enjoyed success with the New Edition movie, which had huge ratings on BET.
Okay.
And the group got their star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Congratulations.
So
yeah,
it was really wonderful to watch them and
yes,
to be a part
watch
of,
them grow too. They've
be a part of history.
Yes. How exciting. I didn't know that. Oh, my goodness. I always knew that you had it going on and was a really gifted, blessed young man. I always knew that. Even though when I was visiting your mom, I didn't see you that often, but just knew you were very gifted.
Awesome.
So
Thank
it's
you.
truly a blessing.
Thank you.
So we're going to now get into the movie. Do you think you want to we could show the trailer first and then talk about it?
Sure.
Want to do it that way? Okay, let's just let people see the trailer.
How far would you go to save a friend?
He has a gift of just being a great personality.
I feel good, man. I feel wonderful.
From day one, just gifted with his hair.
Plenty of close shaves, but none closer than the one dealt the Jazz by a guy named Wendell Justice.
And then, something went wrong.
Police, open the door! Police! Police!
It was sad to know that they would give him, that much time.
I was getting dope from New York. I was getting dope from Los Angeles.
I wonder if it smells the same as it used to smell. I don't have another relapse in me.
I've been out here 20 months. Come on.
Wendell, I don't know. He doesn't have many left.
I've been using 12. I've been using 12 of the 20 months.
Heroin is no longer an underground drug. It is front and center.
It's like the drug tricking you to use the drug.
We freestyling as addicts and recovering addicts.
Do you know how great of a person you are when you're straight?
Road back.
Everyday life day struggles with American addict, heroin addicts.
Thank you for allowing us to actually let our audience view the trailer. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. So let's talk about the movie itself.
Road Back is addresses the need for awareness on addiction and what are some of the inside issues as it relates to relationships, support, what it takes for a person to achieve recovery. It's not so much a dramatization of the problem, which I think we have enough of.
Yes, we do.
Every news media outlet is covering how bad the situation is, how terrible the numbers are. But I think what the Road Back documentary does is it goes inside a deeper look in terms of how to save a friend.
Yes, yes.
And so that's what the film is about. How do you save a friend? How do you reach out and help somebody who is in your circle?
Yes.
Because everybody has one. Everybody has a mom, a dad, a brother, sister, a friend who's been struggling with it. And I think this film inspires you in a way to have a positive action.
Right. And I came up with a title after going through everything, and it was The Real Struggle of Addiction. That's the title of the show, based on what I perceived and what I saw during the screening there, the viewing. So, and it was so wonderful because, again, it wasn't your typical, and there was no drama. It was real. This was a real person's journey. And from beginning to end, it was his journey. So we were actually able to see his journey and what he went through. And I'm not going to talk about it because I want people to see it because it was just wonderful.
Well, one of the things is no matter how much I talk about it, people really never understand how impactful the film really is. It's hard to describe, but if you could step inside the world of an addict for an hour and a half and go on a journey with them, it's like definitely 3D, like you'd be a fly on the wall. What we try to do is to unapologetically reveal and show how the families are affected, how friends are affected, and that tug that takes place between, caring for somebody and how far will you go to actually save your friend. When do you let go and say it's enough? Yeah,
because I can't go into detail because we're live on a situation that I had myself with someone that actually, because of this person that I love so dearly, I actually put myself in position where I actually stayed in a crack house with that person overnight because I was not going to let that take over that person. They need to know that the love was there enough that you can come out of this. And I'm going to be here with you until you come out of this. So I'm just really thankful that that person did. But they were surprised. They were so surprised. They said, I can't believe you're here right in the middle of the heart of, the city where it's the crime and drugs and everything else. I said, no, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm going to hold you. I'm going to love on you. And I'm going to stay here with you until this passes. Mm-hmm. So if it took more than one day, I was going to be there. I was hoping it did not, but I still would have been there. So I stayed overnight. Until mid-afternoon the next day. And I'm telling you, it changed that person's life.
Well, that's what Tom Olson, the principal in the film, we show his sacrifice and what he did to help his friend. And I think he's a great example of how we all want to be. Mm-hmm. And it's not easy to open up your life to a camera.
No.
For a year or 2 years and to let people walk in and out.
And that was a 2-year period?
Yeah.
Wow, I meant to ask you, how long did it take? It was 2 years.
Yeah. Wow. Documentaries are all encompassing.
Yes.
That's just the nature of it. And in order to do a documentary justice, you have to let life happen. Mm-hmm. And we want it to be neat and in a box and start this time and stop that time, but it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah, and documentaries are documentaries. And that's what you did, 2 years, and you followed this person along his whole journey. That's why I said a real struggle, not so much struggle, but the journey of a true story. And that's what's important, to see it, and nothing edited, nothing put there to make it look pretty, and all the fluff. So none of that was done. It was just really raw. And it was so raw. I think you told me about one of the scenes that you thought that. Well, I'm gonna let you share that with me about some of the scenes.
Well, we never knew the ending. We never knew how to end. We didn't know how the film would end, and I won't talk about how the film ends. But that was one of the aspects of Road Back, and Tom Olson and Wendell Justice that kept us in suspense, because we literally were hoping for good outcomes. And and we just let we just let it hang and fall where it may.
Yeah, and and in watching it, we didn't know. Even the audience didn't know where is this going, and it's a must see show. It is definitely a must see.
We have some exciting things to look forward to. I can't really talk about them right now,
okay.
But there's some incredible possibilities brewing right now for the film Roadback, and we think that it's something the country would embrace and needs to see.
Yes, and we're going to have Colton tell his story and his journey. So,
yes.
Colton, why don't you tell us, and then I want to come back to you, Vincent, and,
Absolutely.
some more questions here. But, Colton, tell me your journey with opiates.
So my experience with drug addiction was, it stemmed from behaviors of when I was a child, whether that was acting out, whether that was searching for attention, whether it was exaggerating or lying to try and be somebody that I wasn't. Internally, there was some type of void. And for a lot of addicts, that's what it is we're trying to fill an internal void with some type of external substance. And
repeat that again. I need people to hear that.
I said, as addicts, that's what I really think it is we're trying to fill an internal void with an external substance.
Okay.
And whatever that internal void may be, if it's pain, if it's trauma, if it's a bad upbringing, it varies from person to person. Mm-hmm. For me, I had a really good upbringing. And I was introduced to opioids around the age of 17, and my family has struggled with addiction. My mother has struggled with addiction. My father has struggled with it. So genetically, sadly enough, it trickles down the genetic chain.
Yeah.
And as soon as I tried opioids, I found relief in anxiety, in relationships, in emotional instability. I found something that could numb me out to what the world, in my eyes, was putting me through. Because overall, I played a victim role throughout my decisions, and gradually.
And that's the one thing I saw too, and a couple of people they continuously play the victim role.
Yes.
So I'm glad that you're saying that, and I'm hoping that people watching the show can see that, if they could see it in themselves or a loved one. But most important, I'm going to let you finish your story, because that's what helped you through to the next level.
It is. And the victim role is huge, because one thing that we have to do as addicts and alcoholics is start to accept responsibility. And that's something that I had never really learned how to do. I was getting out of trouble left and right. And my story led me to, I'm coming up on a year sober here. And that's no drugs, that's no alcohol. And it has taken every...
Congratulations, a year. Congratulations.
Congrats, my brother.
If you weren't so far across the table here, I'll come and give you a hug. Oh. But I'll hug you after, okay?
Okay. I'm going to hold you to it.
Yes, yes.
It's a small milestone for the rest of my life.
Yes.
And if I told people that I didn't have to go through pain to get there, I would 100% be lying. This last year, I've walked through some of the hardest things in my whole entire life. And my addiction led me to jails, it led me to institutions, it led me to mental hospitals, and I made the decision January 2nd of 2017 in a maximum security jail cell that I was going to change my life. And I didn't care what it took.
What a blessing. What a blessing.
I didn't care how much pain it took. I didn't care what I had to go through. And that's all it took, was a decision. After that decision, it took a lot of consistency. And for me personally, it's a spiritual reprieve.
Yes.
It keeps me sober. If I don't wake up in the morning and I don't seek God, my ego starts to get out of control. My self-will starts to run riot, and I start to add chaos to my life. Mm-hmm. And God brings me back to ground zero.
Blessing. What a blessing.
And bringing it back to the film, Vincent said something interesting. He said, we didn't really know what the ending of the film was going to be. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty inside the beast right there. With addiction, it's sad to say we don't really know what the end is going to look like.
Yeah.
We don't. And if we don't maintain a healthy lifestyle, and, if I don't keep being a man of my word, if I don't keep getting up in the morning and I don't keep telling the people I love that I love them, I might not stay sober today. I might not. And it's a day-by-day process.
Yes.
And the film really shows that process, and it shows the relationships between two people that are struggling and how they can bring one another up. And I haven't seen it portrayed in another film like I had in Road Back. And so it was
and I've seen quite a few
see.
films too. It was very refreshing to see, and it really was. And again, I must say congratulations, because I know it's a struggle and it's a journey.
It's just the beginning.
Yes, and almost a year. That's just wonderful.
Yeah.
So tell me more.
So I the insanity principle behind addiction is something that I think is fairly interesting, because overall, what I've learned today is I don't have control over a lot of things, but I have control over my reaction to situations.
Yes.
And my reaction to situations while I was active in my addiction was it was chaotic, and it was unintelligent. I would react emotionally rather than keep my composure, and it didn't matter if it was the smallest upset in the world. I would use it as an excuse to escape or to use drugs. And today I don't have to make excuses, but that's only because I took so long to focus on like what my overall reaction to situations was, and it was important to pay attention to that. Deep in my drug use, I mean, I was born and raised in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I think overall what happened while I was growing up is I was searching for what my identity was, and I didn't know who that person was. I didn't know what my voice was. I didn't know what I stood for, and I didn't know who I loved or who I lusted for. I didn't know who I was. And when I found drugs and alcohol, I feel like I found some type of sense of identity, something that I could relate with, because I couldn't relate with myself at the end of the day.
Right.
And, that's a hard thing to go through. So during my addiction, confused over my identity, I mean, it brought me to places like being at the homeless shelter, on the streets. My drugs of choice were heroin and crack cocaine. And these are two drugs that kill people every single day.
Yes, they do.
And I've witnessed it firsthand. I went through drug dealing. I went through being the dealer, being the buyer. I went through both sides of the table. I went through so many different jail visits, making the same exact mistakes over and over again. I went through so many failed relationships with people who weren't sincere and people who weren't authentic, because at the end of the day, not knowing who I was, I couldn't be sincere and I couldn't be authentic.
Exactly.
And naturally we attract whatever we're putting out there.
Exactly.
And I don't have to go into like really how bad things got and like the actual substance use. I think what's important today is for me to focus on what I do, and not forgetting where I was, but focusing on what I do to maintain a healthy lifestyle.
Do you feel like, all this is coming from within? You can go to institutions, you can go to places to overcome, but until you have made it up in your mind and said, this is what I want for myself.
Yes.
It got to come from the heart, and it got to come deep. This is what I want for myself, so I can turn myself around. Your family, your friends, or whatever can want so much for you.
Yes.
And I see that in a lot of families. They can want so much, but until you have made that choice yourself, and you did. And now, while you were incarcerated, when you made this choice that you were not going to do this, did something happen to you say, or you were placed in an institution that was just...
I was placed in Salt Lake County Jail. I had relapsed for 9 hours, and in that 9 hours, I caught 8 different charges. I was arrested 2 times, And that's how black and white my addiction got for me. I was sober leading up until that night. It was New Year's night. And I thought, you know what, maybe I could have a little drink tonight. And, one thing led to another. I actually bailed out of jail after catching 3 charges and caught 4 more charges within an hour of leaving jail. That's the insanity of the drug use. And by the time I ended up in that jail cell, I mean, I was so emotionally and spiritually bankrupt and hurt so bad. I made the decision that I was going to do whatever it took to change my life.
Right.
Because
it's funny because I see there was angels there with you. There were angels there watching over you and keeping you safe through this. And people just don't understand. Somewhere in that line and somewhere in your ancestral, there was an angel there that was watching over you to make sure that you made it through this.
It definitely was.
I can feel that. I just feel that you had a wonderful angel there right by your side.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, that's why you're here to tell this story today.
Very, very blessed to be here. I've had a lot of close calls.
Yeah.
And, death was a few of those. And that's the scary thing for an addict or alcoholic. Is death is right on the table.
Yes.
So bringing awareness to it with a film like this or an interview like this, it could help save someone's life at the end of the day.
And I think this is just the beginning.
It is.
For you and my dear friend Vince, this is just the beginning because to go through it personally, but then to have other people who have experiences and seeing it with families as well, is really, really rough. And then to let people know there is help out there for families who are going through it with a family member. But in your case, both your parents were doing the same thing.
Yes.
They were both were both addicts as well. So did your mother and father are they still?
My father, he's not a big part of the picture now. Okay. But both my mother and my father are still active use.
Okay.
My mother comes in and out of it. And, it was interesting. I was an only child growing up.
Okay.
And so being an only child, I didn't have brothers or sisters to look to. And I also didn't really have, parents that were responsible.
So you kind of raised yourself there, huh?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Mm-hmm. My parents, they were amazing. They did what they could. But my mom, being in and out of active use, it's almost like at this point the roles have switched, and she is just like, she'll contact me and need some help or some guidance or some advice, and I'm very, very grateful that I'm able to be that person for her at the end of the day. But sometimes I wish that I had a mom to call when I'm feeling down or when something's going on with me. But then again, I got to turn the tables and have gratitude for being in a position where I can get back to my mom and help her, because she's done everything she could her whole life. I owe her my life.
I know you do. And always know that I'm always here for you as well.
Thank you.
Because Vincent's mom is such a dear friend of mine. She's like a sister I never had, And so I know she's very close to you as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So, just know that I am here for you at any time.
Thank you, Dr.
And I'm
Lee.
sure a lot of people who are watching.
And he's my new brother, and I'm here for him as well.
Wonderful. Have to be. You flew him in, didn't you? That's a little.
Well, it's one of the things that this film has created is an incredible energy of conversation.
Yes. Yes.
At all the little private screenings we've had, the conversations and the energy created around people talking about it, talking about addiction the right way, you know, not as this insurmountable thing, but it's an actual thing that we can affect with what we do how we treat each other and how we come together and push forward. I think I said in one of the panels that we had is that, addiction is like, a beautiful house with termites. You know, you got this wonderful house and you're running around and you're sitting in your nice furniture, which is what America is, and we ride in our nice cars. But at the root and the foundation, there's something like termites just eating away at the foundation of who we are.
What a great analogy.
And it affects us all, because even if you're not addicted, an addict is likely to commit crime against ordinary citizens. They're likely to, it's going to reach your doorstep either way. So it's something that we should all care about.
Yes.
It's not somebody else's problem. It's all of our problems.
Yes, indeed.
And so I'm very fortunate to have made friendship with Colton during due to Road Back, and I've met so many great people and professionals that. So just remember Road Back. This film, you're gonna hear more about it. Look us up on social media at roadbackfilm.com, and you're gonna hear about it, because the impact of it is just.
And it's every
super.
age. You have
every
ages.
demographic.
It's not just an older people for crack cocaine or the younger. It's every age and
race, race,
and it hits us all. We see a lot of it in movies or whatever, but this is something totally different. This is a really healing film, and it's so important to have friendship and have that love. And I tell people, even what, I think I mentioned to you after, not the screening, but the viewing, I think I mentioned to you that the one thing that I see even with cancer patients, because it's something eating away at a person, but the ones who do well, who really do well, are people who have love. Love is so important, to have love in your life and have people who love you and support you. And those people who have that, they really heal so much faster.
Yeah.
So, whatever you're going through, especially on this, because this is what we're talking about, but I would like to ask you at this point, why were you persuaded to do a documentary on drug addiction?
Well, what many people don't know is that my father was an addict, and when I was 13, my house was raided by the DEA, and I was interrogated, just a kid home by myself. And so it left a tremendous impact on my life and my relationship with my dad, which ultimately became full circle. But the scars of growing up with an addict and with drugs in the house, the scars of that, and the identity things that are related to my own personal identity that I had to overcome. Originally I put it all into music and put it all into my career in a sort of obsessive way, which, produced success. But in the inside, I had a lot of healing to do. And in his latter years, I started to think about, my journey. And I ran across this project when I met Tom Olson and Wendell Justice, and I had no intention on being involved in a documentary, especially one like this at all. It just kind of destiny, I guess. I wanted to lend my talent to something that actually meant something. So
okay, and what did it emotionally? How did it affect you in the beginning when you first started? I know you didn't want to initially, but after finishing and watching the journey of another person, how did you feel?
Well, I still struggle. Even finishing the film, I was reluctant to step out and advocate for it, because I just, being the face of an addiction film, I was like, well, that's not me. I'm not an addict. Mm-hmm. But I had to confront that about myself in terms of just the vanity and the self-servingness that I had, kind of how I lived my life in the entertainment industry, and just kind of getting over that and making this not about me, but really about those that needed to see this film.
Yeah. And I really, truly appreciate you opening up and even sharing your life on the show today, because that's something you didn't have to do. And I know you actually did that night. I was there for the viewing of the movie, and I really thank you for doing that, because all the years we think we know people sometime all the years that I've been around you and your mom, but you really don't know what a person's going through. You don't know what's in their heart. And that's why I tell people, don't be so quick to judge another person, because you don't know, you're not walking in their shoes, and you don't know anything about their past. So, in the book that I have written before I was born, there is a chapter in my book called Through the Eyes of a Child. And that's written that way because through our eyes, what we see, what you're telling me now is what you saw in your growing up and how it affected you through the years. So we have to, then we work on those things to sort of change, because some people who are not nice people or just can't seem to let go and love other people, or there's something that kind of happened. And if we search back into their childhood, we can find it. So through the eyes of a child, if you start looking at it yourself and say, you know what, that happened, but you know what, this is who I am now. Mm-hmm. That happened, but it made me the person who I am now. So the book is very detailed with that. And I always tell even my patients, through the eyes of a child, we have to go back into that sometime and embrace that child and say, you're okay, you're safe. You went through a traumatic experience, but we survived and we overcame. Yeah. And we still do it. I mean, it's something we do on a daily basis, because there's things still from my past that, we deal with. But it's an everyday healing. And as long as we start off being grateful, a lot of those things see to sort of dissipate. Yeah. Because we be grateful for the things right now, even little things. I tell people who can't go to sleep, just start being grateful for your bed. Be grateful for the sheets and the pillowcase, and just kind of go through the whole thing and just start being grateful and wake up that way, being grateful that you woke up. I've had several people that I know did not. So we have to be grateful for things that we sometimes take advantage of. One person woke up and thought it was still dark and didn't know he had gone blind in the middle of the night. So be grateful for those things. Grateful that you wake up and you can see the day. It's just taking that time. If you take the time to be grateful, a lot of the things that we hold back on, we don't really have a chance to really hold back on all those things. Mm-hmm. We chisel through it. It's a day by day chiseling through, and just wrap your arms around yourself all the time and just say how much you love yourself unconditionally. I tell people, look at yourself in the mirror naked. Just naked, and look into your eyes and just look at your whole body and say, I love every inch of me and every inch of my body. I love me unconditionally.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah. So, and it works. People come back and they're happier. I look at pictures of myself when I was married, and I never looked happy. And I never smiled. And even till one day I was on the freeway, and this gentleman, it was bumper to bumper traffic, and this person just blew his horn, and he had a big sheet of paper and said, smile, life can't be that bad. I'm like, God, how bad did I look? I must have looked horrible for somebody to just blow their horn and say, look, smile, can't you smile? And I'm like, you don't know what I'm going through. I didn't want to smile. What I had to be happy about? I was in a horrible relationship at the time. So the thing is, and we learn to forgive. That's what chisel you through to, or just the forgiveness. People are who they are, and they do things that they do, and just forgive them and love them as they are. We love them as they are not, but we love them as they are as well, which is really important. And that's because we can change people. Right. Yeah. But the most important, in this time and space that you have in your life, we love ourselves. So we look at things and we have a birth date. And then when we're not here, we have another date. I tell people it's that dash. My kids know, if something happened to me, there is no funeral. My life is lived as my eulogy. If I don't live my life that way, I don't need somebody later trying to do a eulogy. You don't need that. So your life, that dash is so important. That dash, what are you doing for yourself, is so important. Yeah. And you've done a lot for mankind, and in your movie and in your music, and this documentary is just phenomenal. This is one among many documentaries you're going to do. I see that. You'll be back here. We'll be talking about the next one after this one is well on the road. You'll get ready for the next one, because there's too many people hurting, and hurting on many levels. And we need to help and show people that you're not the only one. I used to think I was the only one when I was married going through certain things. And then I start talking to people, I'm like, gee, I wasn't the only one, So it's not that it changes things, but it does help you get through a lot of things when you can open up. And having that special friend, like in the movie, he had a wonderful special friend who was not going to give up on him. That was so beautiful. And it wasn't just a movie. This was a true story, that he stayed there. It had nothing to do with race or anything. He stayed there with him as his friend. And that's what we need today, authentic friends. If you have one good, authentic friend, you are blessed. Because, that's important.
Amen.
It really is.
Amen.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. So I'm so happy that, we have all this going on. And I want you to, we still have time to go, but I want you to kind of look into the camera and from your heart, if a person is listening, a lot of people are listening, from your heart, what would you want to say to a mother with a child? What would you want to say to a child who's watching their parents, what you went through? What would you want to tell them? I want you to look into the camera and tell them from your heart.
Well, if you have a family member or someone that's struggling with addiction, love, like Dr. Lee said, is the biggest antidote. They need support, they need love, and not in a way that is destructive or where you're supporting what they're doing in terms of addiction, but just show up and love them and let them know that you love them and just be there without getting yourself hurt. And I think Colton probably has a better...
Yeah, he's going to have a chance to talk. Yes.
I mean, I don't think that I have the perfect disposition personally, like in how I address it or deal with it, because I've always put my feelings into my art.
Yes.
That's the way that I'm better with constructing solutions through my talent and through my art. So not necessarily with, giving advice, but, I kind of take things in and then spit them out in a creative way.
Mm-hmm. And that's still healing.
And so you have to watch the film to really get my true comment.
Yes.
on what I see.
Yes.
But personally, for me, time heals things, and it takes a lot of patience and a lot of support. And don't give up. It's like how far would you go for a friend?
Okay. So, Colton, look into the camera. And if you're speaking to, I want you to address a family member who is going through this with a child. Then I want you to address, a family member who is in the same situation that you had with the family is going through this. So we know we have the organizations that also help, group meetings and everything else. But to hear it firsthand, it's a little bit different today than we know. We have all these organizations out there.
Yeah.
I started to say AAA, but the AA groups and everything else. So we do have that going on. But, look into the camera, and I want you to just, like you look into the eyes of a parent who has a child, and maybe they don't, and now you want to do it in the reverse, okay?
I would just say, it's along the lines of what's been said. I would say it's unconditional love. An addict is going to get clean and sober when they're ready to get clean and sober. There's nothing that a mom or a sister or a brother can tell them to do. And to love them unconditionally through that process is really all that you can do for them. For me, it comes down to hope. And, my bad. And when, it only takes a small glimmer of hope for an addict or alcoholic to want to make some changes in their life. And usually that hope is birthed from a place of desperation. And, as humans, we crave connection, especially in desperate times. So for a mother or a father or a brother or a sister struggling, it's important to keep that unconditional love. That way, when the addict or the alcoholic is desperate or in enough pain, you'll be the person that they reach out to.
Yes. Yes, because usually if you turn your back and close the door so many times, when they're ready to make that change, they won't come to you.
Well, and for me too, that's really all that it took was understanding that people still cared, even when I didn't care about myself. It's very important.
Yes, yes, it is. And to stay with you along this journey, and you have a new brother here, and a brother you never had, since you were only child.
He's always been there.
Yeah, that is such
there.
a blessing. Yeah, truly a blessing.
God just finally brought us together.
And that's your journey. So I hope that you're going to write a book about this, because it's going to help
I
a lot of
actually
people.
have looked into and started writing an autobiography.
Yes.
And I haven't disclosed any information on it yet. This is actually the first time I've talked about it. And it's raw, it's uncut, it's powerful, it's firsthand. And I had too many people tell me, dude, you need to write a book. You need to write a book.
I think I told you that
you need to
the
write
night
a book.
I met you. Yeah.
And so just recently, about 3 weeks back, I started writing my book.
Okay, very good, very good. I have some tips for you that are all free.
I would love to hear them.
Yeah, one is I always put it out there because everybody has a book inside of them.
Yes.
It's a good way of healing as well, and it's createspace.com. They'll do your book for free, your ISBN number. They do everything for free.
Createspace.com.
Createspace.com. You'll have a copy of the show, so you can go back and see the website. He'll probably put it up. But CreateSpace does everything. Audiobook, they do ebooks, they do everything.
Okay.
Yeah. And when you're finished, you're on Amazon. Yeah, so it's really good. So you don't have to get into spending any money. Yeah.
Perfect.
Wonderful. So 2018, I'll be purchasing my copy, correct?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
2018.
If I do push it into like early 2019.
No, it'll be ready. I
it's
know
just
it'll be ready in
because-
2018.
Okay. All right.
Okay, because there's too many people that need this. It's going to help. So you're going to help heal so many people with your book as well.
Thank you.
And just like the movie itself, it's such a healing movie. And I am so grateful that I had a chance to view the movie, Vincent. So thank you so much for, your mom calling me, making sure I was there. So I am just so happy that I had a chance to be part of this journey with you. And I'm just so grateful that you flew in to be on the show. And Vincent, you took the time out of your wonderful, busy schedule to be here live. I just thank you so much. So I just want to say, as I always do, and I want to add a little to it, I always wear my little badge that I have on today that you see on the screen there, and I want everybody to repeat after me because some things I want to say with that. But take this to heart. When you say it, really feel it and take it to heart. And because we know the I am is so important, it's so powerful, but take it to heart. And know that this is you and start using this every day. And I want to make sure, too, that you visit our website because the show is sponsored by NuWellnessHealthcare.com. So visit our website. We offer a variety of so many different programs. Right now I have a special on IV nutrition, and it's an IV push. You're only there for less than 30 minutes. But boy, do you feel great. And with what's happening right now in the atmosphere and in the around us, we really have to really take care of our immune system. Because I do epigenetic screening and breast screening for men and women using infrared. So you really want to call me and take advantage of these things. Prevention is priceless. So let's do what we can to prevent. We had a wonderful event this past week where I was doing stroke screening, which is entitled Beauty Shop Stroke Screening. So, and there's a reason for that, because if you have plaque in your neck, around the carotid artery or the vertebral artery in the back of the neck, if any plaque is there and you're in a bowl having your hair done, or men in a barbershop having your hair done, if it's hard plaque there, it could break off. And this can happen at any age, because right now with women, more women are dying of strokes than they are breast cancer. And we don't hear enough about it. So our symptoms are totally different. Have any questions, please call me. You want us to come out and provide free stroke screening at your business or your location, please let me know. You can call 310-419-4300. Now, let me get into what I always say at the end of the show. And again, take this to heart. Every word, feel it, and let it vibrate your soul, because the I am, we know, is so powerful. So repeat after me. I am.
I am
So grateful.
So grateful
That I am.
that I am
A magnet.
a magnet
For miracles.
for miracles.
And just know that. Know that for yourself. And I want you to email me and start telling me your miracles, because I say this every morning, and I have miracles happen daily. I have Colton here is a miracle today. I have Vincent here is a miracle today. And I'm at UBN Studio, and I have my wonderful Jarvis here doing his magic over there. I'm just so grateful for everything. Until next week, I want everyone to really take the time to love on yourself. And this is not to have an ego about it. Love yourself. Because a lot of people, I'll ask them, do they love themselves? And they're real slow in answering that. Love yourself unconditionally. And everyone, stay blessed until we are here again.
Join us every Wednesday live at 11 a.m. for NuWellness TV with Dr. Lee. Remember, healthy mind, healthy body.